Attitude Era podcast. We are here with an absolutely legendary moment. We have my dream guest. This is the guest I've always wanted.
I've been saying that for a while now. See?
I hope you don't hit me with a chair because we got the hardcore legend, Mick Foley.
Hey,
How are you today,
I'm
man?
doing good, guys. It's great to be here, right here. We're doing it via remote at the Wrestling Universe.
The legendary wrestling universe.
The crowd has died down. You guys can vouch for me. There was a nice line here earlier, right?
No, come on, yeah, legend.
Okay.
Oh yeah, when Mick comes out, everyone is excited. So let's get right into it. Our first question that we wanted to ask was the three faces, the origin of your three characters, your favorite, leading to the great moment in the Royal Rumble, you entering 3 times.
I did, man. I think I got paid 3 times. But more importantly, that's something people remember 25 years after the fact. It can be difficult to be remembered for anything, so I'm glad that there's about 5 major things I'm remembered for. That's one of them, and that was just a cool thing. You know, I just wish that I'd had boots that went up with Velcro because I had the high boots, 17.5 inches. So the only thing I can liken to what happened to me every time I came through the curtain is I was treated like a car at a pit stop as a team of people just worked on getting my boots off and getting the new ones on. So that was pretty pressing.
Do you have a favorite one of your characters? Or you love them all equally, kind of like children?
Well, here's the thing. It is kind of like children in the sense that I loved being Cactus Jack in the ring. I love being Mankind behind the scenes doing the stuff with The Rock. Dude Love, he was almost like the stepchild that didn't get enough love, but since I started doing cameo videos, and you can catch me at cameo.com/Mick Foley, love doing Dude Love because he can do silly stuff, he can sing songs, he can be, he's a guy who basically portrays himself as being about 3 times cooler than he actually is. Yeah. And that's it's fun to play.
One of the biggest moments I remember, childhood-wise, was seeing Mick Foley win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Especially in
Who did I defeat for that?
I believe it was Triple H, was it not?
No, the Rock.
Oh yeah, the biggest star in the world. Yeah. To this day, my youngest son says that's the least believable thing to ever happen in WWE. I'm like, you weren't alive when it was happening. It was believable. The story, the rivalry, it was really unforgettable.
Amazing. And that was also, we've talked about on the podcast, it was supposed to be a big shift in the Monday Night Wars.
Well, nobody thought it would be. It ended up being one, primarily because WCW gave away the result. Yeah. So they thought they were going to put a hurting on us by doing that. And meanwhile, I think the numbers showed that 500,000 people switched over simultaneously. So it ended up being if you see me distracted, I'm a huge NBA playoffs fan.
Oh, it's time right now.
I don't watch anything. Yeah, the Knicks, right? Man, who would have thought? And so I'm rooting for my Celtics. A good buddy of mine does their radio play-by-play. Okay. Some good series going out there.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the Attitude Era. Another moment that we've talked about a lot on the show, obviously probably one of the biggest remembered moments is Undertaker versus Mankind, the Hell in a Cell. What? Just tell us a little bit about that moment. What's it like? What's the reaction when was that your idea to go off the top of the cell?
Yeah, he tried to talk me out of it. As a human being towards another human being, and I somehow convinced him that I was going to be okay. So that may have been the biggest lie I'd ever told. I was not, you can see my smile, that was 25 years ago, right? Yeah. One of those ended up in my nose, and here's the bright side, though. If you've got to have one of your teeth sticking out of your nose, you might as well have that moment immortalized in an action figure. And Mattel has a new one coming out called Defining Moments, and they've got the tooth in the nose. Pretty cool. Yeah.
And in that match, there was actually 2 moments. You went off the top, and then you went through the cell.
True, right.
Was that planned? Do you think they had to strengthen the structure because of you guys?
No, because I never would have done that if I thought the cage was going to break. I could have been paralyzed. Yeah. I'm really lucky that I wasn't hurt a lot worse than I would. So if people want to give me that much credit for doing something that crazy, they can. But no, that was a surprise to both of us.
Yeah, watching it as a kid when they stopped it the first time and you went on the stretcher, everybody thought it was part of the story.
Yeah.
Then the second time when Terry had to come
out, that ring filled up in about 5 seconds with people. So
for a lot of people, it was crazy. Yeah. One of my big moments was when because you know Cactus Jack was the first character you had on WCW,
Right.
but when you came over to WWF, you were Mankind first.
Right.
So I want to ask you, Madison Square Garden, you going against Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time.
Yeah.
The Titantron pops up. It's Dude Love. It's Mankind. Nobody's ever seen Cactus Jack on
WWE,
on
right?
WWE. And when they just sell the story of, yo, somebody worse is coming and Cactus Jack comes
Yeah.
out and the garden erupts, what's that feeling like?
You know what? It was such an amazing feeling for me because it was proof to me that Mr. McMahon had been wrong all along. He didn't think that Cactus Jack was a star. He was quoted as saying Cactus Jack would never step foot in a WWE ring, and here I am at like the mecca of professional wrestling, and fans, they really gave Cactus an amazing response.
Absolutely.
And not only did Cactus become a huge star, we touched on The Rock. You beat one of the biggest stars, and then you twice, and then you ended
Talk
up
about it now.
working with him on a team. Can you talk about some of the moments with Rock? You know, you took all those chair shots,
Yeah.
working on a team.
Yeah, well, no, as great as the rivalry was, I think we were even better teammates. But the only thing that made the team make sense was that we had been such great rivals, and we were polar opposites as far as the way we looked and acted. And sometimes, you know, those odd couple things can really work. And in this case, I mean, it's rarely that a day goes by that I don't hear someone mention the Rock and Sock connection. And that's really powerful given that we were only together for about 3 months.
Yeah.
Right? We were together 3 months, 24 years ago, and people still remember. All right, guys, I have time for one last question.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the current product? Do you think where we've gotten?
I haven't watched as much as I used to. I still really like what I do. As far as being soft, that's not the word I would say, because the men and women are actually more athletic than ever, and the stuff they're doing in some ways is more dangerous. Like I'll tell you what, I was never as healthy as I was the year that I was doing all those crazy matches in Japan. I got burned, I got stitches, but as far as structurally, I felt pretty good that year. But it's just a grind. When you're out there day in and day out and you're doing demanding moves, it can be even more grinding than doing the wild stuff that I did in Japan and ECW.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you
thanks
so
guys.
much, man.
Can I bump it up with you guys?
Yes, yes.
Thanks,
Sir, for
thanks
sure.
guys. Okay.